All right, Casey here with CL Creative, where I'm teaching you web design and webflow one video at a time. And today we're going to talk about creating a drop-down menu inside of Figma for your prototypes to make them more realistic. And so here's the website. This is my personal website that I've been designing. I've actually developed this out and it's live now, so I'm proud of that. So you can go check that out, clcreative.co. But here's what we're going to be creating. You see how these menus, drop down. And so we're going to utilize Figma's new variables feature in order to create this drop-down menu that is here. There's a few things that you have to do in order to do that. I found this to be a major struggle in the past whenever I wanted to create more realistic menu items for my clients to be able to view their prototypes. As you can see here on this particular one, what I did in this, we're going to work on this project here, is I just put these up here at the top so that whenever they went ahead and played their prototype, they had a way to navigate around the website, right? And so they could navigate to the different pages like that, but that's not really that great of a look, right? You want your client to be able to experience what the site is going to be like whenever they view the prototype and they navigate around the website. That's kind of the point of the prototype. So let me show you how to do this. So if we jump back into this project right here, this is what we're working with. Now, one of the things you have to know at the very beginning of all of this is that you need to have one of the paid accounts in order to access some of the variable features that we're going to be utilizing here to make this happen. So you need to have a paid account, and then you need to move this project out of drafts in order to the team project, and that's what I've done already. So what I've already done so far, just to simplify this and to make this process easier for us for this particular video. So all I've done simply is taken my text and I've made the menu item a component, and I've created a variant. And then what I have done over here in the prototype panel is just whenever you hover over this, which is going to be right here, it's going to change its state. Then all I've done is I've taken this menu and I've placed it inside of the actual menu, and I've changed out the text. And so let's make sure that we do that again. Okay, now we have that created. We're going to make this into a component as well. And then we're going to take, and the reason I made these into a component in case I want to change this, it's going to change on the variant over here. So we're going to take two variants, and we want to make sure, so here's our nav bar one. We want to make sure that this menu item is actually inside of the nav bar. We want to make sure to actually put this inside of our nav bar one right here. So I'm going to grab this and I'm going to put this inside of here. It's going to break things whenever I do that, but in just a moment we're going to fix that. So we're going to put our other menu item inside of the nav bar. Now what we're going to do now in order to fix that is make these position absolute, just like that. Now we have our deals here. They're inside of our nav bar. So if we take and move our nav bar around, we're good to go. We don't have to, worry about aligning these up. The next thing that we need to do is we need to create some variables. And so we're simply just going to create a variable, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a Boolean variable. And so we're going to say show menu one. You can create and make it whatever you want. And the next one we're going to create is show menu 2, right? So menu 1 is on the left, menu 2 is on the right, and these are both set to false by default, which means that they're going to hide. Now we need to apply those variables to our dropdown. And the way that we do that is by selecting the menu. So this is going to be menu 1, and we can go back over here and just make sure that we know that, right? Menu 1, and this is going to be menu 2. So we're going to select menu 1. We're going to apply the variable show menu 1 to this, and so we're going to go to our layers, and we're going to click on the eyeball, right click on the eyeball, excuse me, and we're going to set this property. Remember, this is menu 1, so we're going to set this to show menu 1. It's false, so when we click it, it should disappear, and it does. We're going to take the other menu, which is our menu number 2. We're going to go to our layers panel again, right click on the eyeball, and we're going to set the variable. So this is going to be show menu 2. It's going to be false, so it's going to disappear. All right, so these are gone at this point. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to take our nav bar and we need to put it on our page. But here's where things get a little bit tricky, right? Because what we actually need to do in order for the drop down to show up over top of our header here is to place this nav bar inside of the header. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a component here, a variant of that component, and I'm just going to move that inside of my header here. So here's my component that I have created. I'm going to take and move that inside of my header. Now this is going to break things a little bit over here on the header. So if we just pull back over here to this, take and make this position absolute. So now it can be moved wherever I want. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to position this up to the top, and I'm going to position it into the center. So for our purposes here, I'm going to get rid of this other nav bar that was there. So now you see that my nav bar has taken its place. It's at the top, it's in the center, and you want to make sure that it's actually here on the bottom. And so we can see that if we just open back up our local variables and we click on true to show that menu bar, then it's going to actually pop up over top of, now one of the things that you can do, because this is actually just floating, it's at the top of this particular header, and one of the things that I actually like to do at this point is add some padding. So this is where using auto layout is really going to come into handy, and so you might add some padding. So this right here is let's see, what size is this? 88. So in order to make this kind of go back to where it is, you can add some padding to that particular column, and so maybe I'll add 88 pixels of padding to that column. So that's one way that you can actually do that as well. Or you can go to or you can go to the heading, the height right here of this whole section, and you want to add 88 to that as well. So that way, what you're actually getting here is what this looked like previously. Now, the next thing that we need to do, add an interaction. And so this is where the variable part comes in that is very necessary. So we want to click on our interaction and on click. So when we click this, what we want to happen is we want to set a variable. Well, we want to do a conditional first. So we want to make a condition. And so what we want to check first is we want to check for our show menu 1, because remember, this is what is on the left. And we want to see, is this equal to false? So if show menu 1 is equal to false, then we're going to perform a particular action. So here's the action that we want to perform. What we want to do is we want to set show menu 1 to true, right? Because we're checking if it's false, then we want to set show menu 1 to equal to true. Okay, else, so this is what happens when we click back. What we want to do is we want to set this variable show menu 1 back to false. Now, because we have 2 drop down menus, we don't want them to be open at the same time. We want them one to be open and one to be closed. We need to also set this variable here. So if show menu 1 is false, then we're going to set show menu 1 to true. Okay. What we're also going to do at this point is we're going to set another variable, and we're going to take show menu 2 and we're going to set show menu 2 to false, just in case it's open. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to set basically the same interaction. And so one of the things that you can do is go to this interaction, and you see we have the tag there. You can hover over it, but you have to get right here to the edge so that this is not highlighted. So right on the edge of that, when it gets to be not highlighted on hover, you can click it. Now you can copy that. So just Command C. Now I can go back to this one right here, and I can actually paste this interaction. Now, of course, it's not right, so we need to make sure that we go in here and change this. So we will just basically want to swap these values out. So this is menu 2. So we want to say show menu 2 is false. Then we want to change set variable menu 2 to true. Okay, then we want to go here. We need to make sure we change the second one because it's going to set it to false immediately. So show menu 1 to false. And again, we want to go to our else statement. Show menu 2, we want to set that to false. This is basically the else saying if menu 2 is true, then we're going to set it to false, which is going to close this menu. So all of this should work now. If we go back to our prototype, so we have this first one, and then if we click on the second one, you notice that the first menu changes, right? And then you have your hover states, and then I need to go and, essentially go right here and set these all up to navigate to their individual pages, but I'm not going to take time to do that in this because we're already running pretty long on this particular tutorial. But that is how you use the power of variables inside of Figma to create realistic menus that your clients can utilize as they're navigating through the pages of the website. Hopefully that helps you out. If you got some value out of this video, would you like it? If you want more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. I'm putting these out on a regular basis. Hope to see you on the next one.